Okay, I am back with part 2 of my knitting. I don't have a name for this series, like yarn shop tours, knitting across Europe. I have 3 more yarn shops to share from 2 different cities. I have Brussels and I have Paris. And you can catch the first part of the series about Amsterdam. I'll put a link for it. And then this is the second part, Brussels and Paris. I have 3 yarn shops, like I said, and I'll be sharing the vibes of the shop, the yarns that they carry, like price ranges, that kinds of thing, my favorite features, what I got, and then kind of a little bit about the location so you can know beforehand, like how much time should I plan to get there, or like on your little Google Maps, you can save things around there. Okay, let's get started. The first shop that I'm going to talk about is Knit and Sip, which is in Brussels. This was probably my favorite shop of the 5 that I visited. 5 stars all around. For the vibes of the shop, it was wonderful. They had a lovely drink cart. I didn't get anything, but they had coffee and tea. And like I said, I didn't get anything, but it just seemed wonderful. The shop workers were so kind. Everyone was kind, all the shops, but these people were especially kind, super helpful and friendly and talkative, but also not like too much in your space, if that makes sense. So the yarns that they carried there, this was probably also my favorite selections of yarn. So vibes, selection of yarn, both wonderful. So they had Mondim, which I got some. They had wool dreamers, they had knitting for Olive, they had Ito, Lane yarns, lots of hand-dyed, Room Natura. Yeah, it was a wonderful. They also had a lot of like cute stitch markers, lots of tools and bags. They had a great mix of hand-dyed yarn, commercial dyed yarn, just wonderful. It was wonderful. They had a pop-up going while I was there, so the shop was super busy. People were talking, laughing, drinking drinks, and buying yarn, and it was just lovely. Yeah, it was really nice. I was mostly just observing because I do not speak French, but it was nice to just see everyone having a wonderful time. The question that I got from you guys about, was the yarn marked up here? No, it was not marked up here. So I did some price comparisons just because I was a little bit shocked by the yarn. So the Mondim in the shop was 11.50 euros. So in USD, that's $12.20 for one skein of Mondim. In the US, it retails for $14.50 plus. I've seen it be sold for more. So it's $2 cheaper. Obviously, I had to buy a plane ticket to get it $2 cheaper, but I was there visiting family, and so yes, I found that lovely. So no, the yarn wasn't marked up, and honestly, I found most of it to be at least $2 cheaper per ball, so that was great. Yeah, so what did I get? I did get some Mondim. I got this for a test knit that I'm doing for Vera Knits. It's for her cardi jumper, and I'm doing the striped version, but I'll talk about that in a second. So I have made the cardi jumper halfway through and I ran out of yarn, which was very sad. So she's doing a full-on like expansion revision of her sizes, and so she's doing a retest knit of the whole thing, and so I am going to use this, and this is the recommended yarn. I was going to find something else, and then I was like, okay, it's recommended yarn and I love it, I'm just going to get it. This is the undyed color. So I've been wanting a white cardigan to just wear over everything, but it's risky to me because I don't want it to interfere with, like, you know, giving my son a chocolate chip cookie and knowing that's gonna have chocolate on it if I wear it. And so my thinking is, for as long as I can, I will wear it like this, and then when it's getting a little dingy, I will over dye it. And I have lots of like over dyes, like RIT dyes. I could do, like, I have black or navy, and then I also could do like avocado dyes and make it like a nice pink. So that is my plan, and I have navy here at my house that I was planning to do the stripes with. But, so I was thinking like very classic navy and white. But then when I was working on it there, I got to the stripe point and I didn't have the navy. And so I just went for plain, which Ines has said that is okay. So I'm just going to do plain, but I'm still doing the fit differences that are in the stripe version. So anyway, yes, I got that for my cardigan. And then the other thing I got that I was like very excited about, another good thing, was this. I'm so excited about it, and this is not for me. I got this for my sister. This is Wool Dreamers manchelopis, and it's unspun, and it's like a plate, and it's like double wrapped. So I've never used unspun yarn. She hasn't either, but this was what she kind of wanted. And this is the gray natural color. So the pattern that I'm going to recommend for her is the Matthew Pullover by Amy Scher. Of course, she doesn't have to do that, but I feel bad gifting yarn without giving her a pattern recommendation. I think I'm going to include a few others as well, like pattern recommendations, because she doesn't really do cables. But I think that it will be lovely. So I got to talk to the yarn shop. I don't know if she was the owner, but she's very knowledgeable about the yarn for a while, and she's very kind, and yeah, it was nice to talk to her. But I got her this. So this will be super exciting. I'm definitely going to like watch her use it, because I have never used unspun. It's really, I've used woolen spun. I've used woolen spun, and I've struggled with it tearing and just that kind of thing, and it wasn't my favorite, but that was years ago. And woolen spun is so in right now, and I'll have to have my sister-in-law buy it for us because it's so much cheaper there. It was so much cheaper. And so I'll have to have her buy it and then bring it home. But it did take up a lot of space to bring home. I put it in my compression packing cube to try and like get it all home in the smallest area. So anyway, that was like a very exciting find. I saw it online and I was like, would you be interested in this? I'm gonna go. So yes, got her this. Then the question of, is it in a tourist friendly location? In terms of the people being tourist friendly, yes, for sure. Everyone was so kind and welcoming. I could have stayed there for a very long time. In terms of location, not as much. It was about 5 minutes from my sister-in-law's house by car, so it was super easy for me to get there. But it's probably about 25 minutes from the Brussels Central Station. So if you're in downtown, like city center, all of those things, it's about 25 minutes by subway. That being said, it's only a 2-minute walk from the stop. So I do think you could get there easily by subway, get off, go to the yarn shop, get back on, and go somewhere else. The stop is Stockel there because we used it. But yeah, so I think you could do that. It might just be harder to convince your non-knitting friends to go all the way out of town with you. There are shops, like there's, well, we went in a toy store. That was incredible. But there's lots of food and coffee in the area too. So it's a little shopping district, you might say. But yeah, it might be harder to convince your friends to go all the way out there, but I would say worth it for just the lovely yarn and the lovely experience. And if you have a car, 100%. It's by some beautiful parks as well. So yeah, I would say definitely make the trip if you can. The second yarn shop I went to in Brussels was called Atalier Moondust, which is a very beautiful name. Okay, let's see, vibes, gorgeous. If you think about like, kind of reminded me of Fancy Tiger Crafts. It was huge. Like you walk in, it's got the concrete floors and the black and the gold, and it was just beautiful, sort of industrial kind of thing. Like on the street, you see a sign and oh, that's it. And then you walk in and it's like, wow, this is so pretty. It had just opened, and so I felt like I needed to be really quiet, like I was in a library or something. And my son came in, and he was super, super pumped about it. I was like, "Oh, you guys might need to go find a playground or something." But he ended up picking out some yarn, which was very cute. And yeah, so anyway, it was lovely. Yeah, I don't know. The displays were gorgeous. Lots of like exposed wood, that kind of thing, very pretty. The yarns, Knitting for Olive, BC Yarn, Rico, nothing that I was like, oh, I haven't seen that before. But yeah, mostly commercial. I don't know if there's any hand dyed, but it was definitely more of a sewing shop. But yeah, like the yarn selection was wonderful, but I felt like there was more yarn. I mean, more fabric. Yeah, fabric and notion. So many buttons, like zippers, things like that you would need for more sewing projects than for knitting, which is fine. It was just more of like an all crafts kind of shop. I wish I knew more about fabric because they just seemed really lovely and beautiful, but I just didn't really know anything, which is probably good because I would have bought like all of them if I knew how to sew, because yeah, they just had some really beautiful, beautiful fabrics. My favorite feature in the shop was the buttons. I'll put a picture of the button wall, but I was like, oh my gosh, I want someone to make this button wall for me because it's stunning. It was gorgeous. And the buttons themselves were so beautiful. They had great like price range, so inexpensive buttons, more expensive buttons, package like a pack of buttons that are just one button. Yeah, I was blown away by the buttons, and that is actually where I got the buttons for my cardigan, and I don't have them with me, so I'll put a picture up for my cardi jumper. Yeah, the buttons were just so gorgeous, so definitely my favorite thing there. Okay, what I got, the first thing is this. This is a Rico Luxury Super 100 Superfine Wool, 50 grams, 165 meters, DK weight. I got this, they had like a clearance bin, which was up at the front. And so I was checking out and I was like, oh, I'm gonna get that. They just had two, and maybe a scarf, or maybe, I was thinking today, a hot water bottle cover. And the second thing I got, my son picked out. It's a very cute little, oh, that's shiny. It says Rico Roomy, Twinkly Twinkly DK. So it's like glitter, 100% cotton, 1% polyester, and it's glitter. It's like peach and gold. I don't know if you can tell because the label is so shiny. Is it coming through? There we go. So he picked this out because it's the same color as his favorite stuffed animal, and he would like for me to make like another jellyfish out of this. So I'm going to use my skills from Moosh and Friends and try and make him freehand a little octopus out of this. Yeah, so that's what he picked out, and oh, I just heard him say mommy. Okay, I'm back. The last thing was this knitting for Olive. So this was for myself, and this is brown nougat, and they had so many good browns. I was like, I want all these browns, but I've got a lot of brown yarn recently. But I want to make a salty air tea with this. That is my plan. I love the salty air tea. I can't remember, Samantha, I think is the designer, but I've just seen it a lot, and it just seems like the perfect amount of like lace work, but also like not too much lace work where I'm like, I can't work on this, like pick it up and put it down, that kind of thing. So what I'm planning to make with this, yeah, this was the first thing that I was like, I'm getting this for myself, and I'm really excited. And well, I got other stuff for myself, but yeah, I was just like really excited to get this in. I think it will go nicely with like this, and I have on black pants, so I feel like this kind of color scheme would be nice as like a little tee. So yeah, I'm excited about it. And that was the last thing for Atalier Moondust. Oh, and then is it in a tourist location? A little more so. This was more west into the city from my sister-in-law's house. Again, it was only like 5 minutes for us, so it was good for me. But probably from Central, it's like 20 minutes. So there's lots more things in this area that are like maybe more classic, like more cafes, more just shops to go in, that kind of thing. And then it's also kind of close to the Centennial Park, so you could get a coffee, go sit there, go to the yarn shop, that kind of thing. But it wasn't like city center. Again, I just put everything in Google Maps and then click on the transit or walk. We did a lot of walking. But yeah, it's not really city center, but I'd say it's much closer to downtown than Sip and Knit, but it's still like a little bit out, I would say. But again, it could be only like 20 minutes from where you are, and so that's not that far to me. So yeah, I would go to all these places, obviously, because I did. Okay, the last one is Lil Weasel, Paris. This was the only shop we went to in Paris. We were not there for very long, and we were just kind of ready to go home, and so we mostly just like walked, saw a few sites. We just took it very easy, and so we didn't go to the parts of town where the other shops were, because I know there's more than one yarn shop in Paris. But this was the only one that was kind of like where close to where we were staying. It was like 5-minute walk from our Airbnb actually, so really close to where we were staying. It was in a beautiful covered gallery, so it felt like a classic Parisian stop to go in. It was very close to a large like shopping mall. Lots of big things were around it. So, oh, this is the tourist friendly part. I'm skipping ahead to that. But yes, I would say yes. I mean, Paris is huge, right? So this is in an area that has many tourist attractions. It's about a 10-minute walk from the Louvre. So I would say, I can't remember if it's in the second or third neighborhood. I think it's in the second. So yeah, it's not outside of the city at all in terms of like, will it be close to something else? Yeah, for sure. But it just depends on too, like where you're staying at. It could be an hour, it could be 5-minute walk like for us. So maybe one of the other shops will be closer. But if you've been to Paris yarn shops, please put them in the comments for friends who are going so they can see ones besides just this one. But this one felt like, it felt like a quintessential Parisian shop. So the vibes, it was packed with people and yarn. The yarn was like floor to ceiling. Like there were ladders like in the library that you drag across to kind of see where the yarn was that you wanted. I wish I had pictures. My phone had died at this point, and after like 5 minutes, my husband took Ollie. He likes to look at the yarn and look at buttons and stuff and then be done. And so he took him to go walk around. So I didn't get any pictures, I don't think. But yeah, it was an experience for sure. There were, in terms of yarn, there was 2 shops. They're the same shop, and you can walk between them with your yarn if you have it like in a basket, which was good to know. And so one side is more commercial yarns, buttons, things like that. And then you can check out in either store. So, but that side had like Fonte, Atalier, Cascade, Filcolana, Rowan, and those were arranged by color. And I think that was my favorite thing. At first I was like, there's no prices. Like I have to pull each one off to see the brand name. But after a few minutes, I was like, okay, this is actually really nice. Because on the wall, they just had a like price list. So all of the brands and then the yarn were listed with the price across from it. And that was actually super helpful because I could just look at the list and then see the yarn. I didn't have to see if there was like a sticker somewhere or a tag. So that was actually turned out to be great. And I liked the visual, like seeing all the different colors just in like all the brands mixed up at first. I was like, oh gosh. But then it was really cool afterwards. So I did really enjoy that. The other side was like, it felt like a much fancier experience. They had books that were like, my son just threw his book out of his crib. They had the fancy books. They had like Lumbee and Skaruhreh. They had just all of that. They had like the West Knits cow stuff, Cardiff cashmere, earth yarns. Lots of fancy things on that side. In terms of was the yarn marked up, honestly, I could not tell. It was really hectic and busy and yarn everywhere, and it was very small. And so I didn't really have a lot of time to like pull off yarn, check the price, on the wall, and then Google it, that kind of thing. But in terms of compared to the other shops, no, it wasn't necessarily more or less that I noticed. Like some shops I was like, whoa, I could tell. This one I couldn't really tell. And so, yeah, I would say it was comparable to the other ones. So yeah, this was a wonderful shop. I wish we could have spent more time in there and it could have gotten more yarn because I just loved the colors. I saw so many that I was like, oh, I've seen this color right now. It's going around. It's so popular. The colors were just very bright. The colors were just very vibrant and beautiful. So I'll show you what I got. At this shop, they also carried the Fonte yarn that I got my brother-in-law in Amsterdam. So while I was there, I made the decision to get him more. I got him 3 more. Hopefully it's enough for a sleepover. I didn't know. I had no idea. So I just got him more. I got all the ones that she had in the shop, so hopefully it's enough. And then I also got that same yarn for my son in this blue. So he got to pick between the lighter blue and the darker blue. And it has a little mohair, but not much in it. So I'm thinking I either want to make him like one of those sort of like open cardigans. It's kind of like I think maybe texture. I would do texture or just stockinette, and then like open and have like a long button band, that kind of thing. Or I was thinking maybe just like a round yoke with a little bit of texture or ribbing, because I haven't done a design like that. And I think he kind of likes pullovers better than cardigans because they stay closed versus like a coat you have to zip up, that kind of thing. But yeah, anyway, stay tuned for that. He's very excited about it. When I showed it to him, he was like, oh. The last thing I got for myself a sweater's quantity of this De Room Natura Ulysses. So this was the yarn I really wanted to get there. I didn't love the color selection that they had. She said it's really popular for them. So they didn't have quite as many colors as I was hoping, but so like now I'm like, do I regret it? Did I get the wrong thing? Because there's so many colors on the wall, but then I went for this, but this was the yarn I wanted to use, and so I am happy with that. I just finished a sweater like almost exact same color. Let's see if it has a name. Well, I'm not gonna. There it is. If it's not backwards, I don't know. It was rose something. But I love the sweater I just made. And so I thought, okay, then I'll just have another. I like it with a jacket. I like it with black, gold. So I'm not upset. I'm just telling myself it's okay. I think it's just when I buy something, this wasn't that expensive, but when I buy something for myself, I don't have a pattern necessarily in mind for this one. And that's why I got DK Weight Sweaters Quantity 1 color, because I think that's what I've been leaning towards lately. I have been loving color work, but I know I can get this yarn in the US if I need it, but I don't think I want a pink color work. I think I just want this to be maybe textured, maybe cables, but I'm thinking either Sorry Nordland cabled sweater or just a textured pullover, and either like add that to a shape I like or try and find one. So yes, this. If you've used Ulysses before, let me know. This is my first time using De Room Natura brand. That's not true. I've used it for a sample knit, but not for a personal knit. So I don't know what to what to think, but I'm excited. Okay, so that was Paris and Brussels, and again, if you didn't watch Amsterdam, I'll put a link for you. Those are the yarns I got there, the shops. Overall, we had a lovely trip, and the yarn shops were just a tiny, tiny part of it. But I was very happy that, my husband and son were excited for me to go and check out the yarns. And yeah, I wish I had gotten more pictures and videos, but like I said in the first one, I'm just not like really good at vlogging and capturing that. I love to take pictures of stuff, but yeah, mostly just my son. So I didn't get a lot as much as I had wanted, but hopefully this helps you in some way, or it just gives you a little glimpse into shopping around the world for yarn. But I did love meeting all of the knitters there and just talking about yarns and pattern plans and things like that. It was really lovely, and we had a wonderful trip. So anyway, please like and subscribe. If you have visited one of these shops, let me know. Happy knitting!